Hey everyone, I'm Dan Hope here for OrangeandWhite.com alongside my colleague Brad Senkiw. We're here from the Oculus today as it's raining once again, second week in a row here. Clemson football is going to be playing in the elements, but here to play Georgia Tech starting about an hour from now. And just look to see if they can go 5-0 today. Georgia Tech's lost their last 3 games, so Georgia Tech coming in here going the wrong direction. Clemson trying to keep itself in front in the ACC. We'll kind of get right into it. Brad, what do you think some of the keys to the game today?
Well, I think obviously you have to stop the Georgia Tech triple option offense. Not easy to prepare for, not all that fun, but I think Clemson, seeing it against Wofford, knowing the foundation of how to handle that only 5 weeks ago, I think is going to be very beneficial. And really, Georgia Tech's so banged up right now. They don't have as many playmakers as I think we're used to seeing in Georgia Tech. So I think Clemson's going to have an advantage, especially when they bring the safeties up. T.J. Green and J-Ron Curse, I think are going to have a big day, being able to take away those big runs that Georgia Tech wants to create. And on the other side of the ball, I think Clemson's going to want to run it, obviously, because that's what they've done all year. And I think Deshaun Watson could have a big day running the ball. Especially if Clemson establishes that early, builds a lead, give them a chance to kind of do what they did last week without as much of a threat as a team coming back in the fourth quarter with big plays.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we hear so much about Georgia Tech's triple option, but I think from an offensive standpoint for Clemson, you want to see them take the next step today. These last 2 games, they've kind of struggled offensively, and they've forced their defense to make big plays at the end of the game to win the game for them. If you're Clemson, you want to see Deshaun Watson in that offense make the plays you need to put that game away in the third quarter, fourth quarter, not leave it down to the final possession. So I think that's something you want to see today if you're Clemson. Probably not as tough of an opponent as last week, but they've had trouble with Georgia Tech in the past. Dabo's only 3-4 in his career against Georgia Tech as Clemson's head coach, so this has always been a tough opponent. Clemson has said all week they're not going to overlook them, they're not going to be a letdown. They've said that's not in their culture. We'll see if that proves to be the case today. Not too many injuries to report or anything this week, but anything else, think fans should be on the lookout for today?
Well, obviously it's another nasty Saturday. I mean, it feels like we were just in the same situation a week ago, but I think the game conditions will be a little bit better than they were last week, so maybe there'll be a little more firepower offensively, maybe even on both sides.
Yeah, we didn't see much passing last week from Deshaun Watson. See if they can get into a little more rhythm. Ever since they lost Mike Williams, his passing offenses seem to be a little disjointed. Not really anyone who's a consistent, reliable target in the passing game. So that's something I think Clemson should be looking for today, is to try to get the ball moving downfield a little more. Try to establish someone, whether it's a veteran like Artavis Scott or Sharon Peak, or a young guy like Deion Kane or Ray McLeod. Try to get somebody else a little more involved in that offense and not force your defense to make that big play as time expires to win the game. So, guess we'll get right into our predictions. Brad, how do you see the game going today?
Said all week, I really just don't think Georgia Tech has the health and the position players they need and the consistency they need in their offensive line to win this game. I think Clemson's going to control it on both ends. This is an offensive line kind of day for Clemson. I think they put up some points, though. I think Clemson wins 35-21.
Yeah, I got a similar prediction. I'm saying Clemson 31, Georgia Tech 21. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think Clemson's a better team, but I think Georgia Tech's offense, they've always had some success against Clemson's defense. I think they will be able to get a few touchdowns today. As good as Clemson's defense has played, that triple option, it's a type of offense that wears out a defense, makes them tired over the course of the game. And we've seen this Clemson defense doesn't have a ton of depth, so I think that's something that you need that offense to get some cushion earlier in the game, because if you just let Georgia Tech run the ball on you all game long, it could wear out that starting 11, and we don't know who's going to come off the bench and really bring some good depth after that. So I think you'll see Georgia Tech score some points, but at the same time, Georgia Tech has allowed at least 30 points in each of its last 3 games. They haven't shown the ability to consistently stop offenses, and I think you're going to see Deshaun Watson, that offense, take a step forward today from what we've seen their last 2 games. So I'm going to say 31-21 Tigers. Anything else to add, Brad?
I think that's it. Let's get this thing started and try to get out of this rain out of here. Getting tired of this.
All right, thanks so much for joining us, and please follow Orange and White on Twitter. Go to OrangeandWhite.com for all your coverage of today's Clemson versus Georgia Tech game.